Water. Earth. Fire. Air. For millennia, the four nations have lived
We're
in harmony.
here with Frack the Canon, and we're talking about one thing that I freaking love, and that is Avatar: The Last Airbender. I love the series. Everything about it. I love the sequel series. I love that they're still doing it. I was hesitant about, well, I don't love everything about it. I don't love the movie, but yeah, I
We
love
don't talk about the movie.
right. So I am joined with some other frackers, as you may know them or come to be familiar with. I'm looking at Tyler Weiss. What's up, friend?
Happy to be here, man. Really excited to be gushing over this great show, in my opinion.
Nice, nice. And what is up, Renee?
Hey, it's been a while.
Indeed. Right on. Well, glad to be joined by you guys and glad to talk about Avatar: The Last Airbender. So, just first off, just surface level, let's talk about how we feeling about it. Since I'm talking right now, I'm gonna go right into that. I like it. I'll be honest with you guys. I've only seen through episode 6. There's 8 episodes in total, so I'm missing 2. But it's like I know where this goes. I know like what book 1 is. Like as long as they keep going, it'll be fine. Like so far, I like the show. I think my one of the reasons I feel so highly about it. I grew up like a Fox Kids kid. I grew up like a Kids WB kid, a one Saturday morning kid, right? And I appreciate the commitment. Like if this movie came out like 18-ish years ago, everybody in it would have like a black leather fetish, you know what I mean? And it would be like this whole like let's like freaking like let's adult this like in a way like that we think everybody loves. Look at
Are you
2000.
thinking of Aeon Flux or something?
I'm thinking about X-Men and their outfits.
Right. Okay.
Oh,
I'm
Okay.
thinking about like movies around that era where they took like properties that were like cartoons and they made them in a way that they think that we would like them kind of a thing, or they thought that adults would accept better, you know what I mean, kind of a thing. This I appreciate being in a post like MCU took over the world kind of world where they're like, no, just let it be, right? They did this with One Piece, they're doing it with this. They're like, no, this is let this just be a Saturday morning cartoon, actually. Like, let this just like, and it comes off in like some of like the acting too, like it's like overacting. But the reason I'm okay with it is because everyone's doing it. Everybody is in the same show. Everybody got the memo, and they're all like stylistically tied together. And they're like, "No, we don't care. Like this is Avatar: The Last Airbender. We're gonna present it the best way we can
Hmm.
as that." And Tyler, your
yeah,
opinion.
yeah, yeah. Very eloquently said. Gosh, yeah, good point. Yeah, as a young man, almost, I guess, in the early 2000s, I remember, yeah, the Blade, Chronicles of Riddick, and all those sort of movies. But yeah, exactly what you said. Additionally, I'd like to acknowledge Netflix's courage for the choices they've made and the changes they made. You, none of which is bold as what they did in Cowboy Bebop, thankfully so. But
Hmm.
I appreciate the changes, and we'll address that in this episode.
Renee, your feelings, your surface level feelings
My
on Avatar.
service. I like you. I was hesitant because we all know how well Netflix in the past has done with adaptations, as Tyler had mentioned, Cowboy Bebop. Uh, so this one stayed true to the source material, but also uh, kind of condensed everything. But we'll get more into that later. But yeah, I went in a little hesitant, but after what they did with One Piece, I was a little optimistic. And, you know, after watching a few episodes, I was not disappointed.
One thing I really appreciated, and it was something that like it's hard to tell in a show like this, like before you get to see it, but like when you watch a trailer, it's kind of hard to tell, like are they cast right? Like you get a look from them and they're like, okay, they're in the makeup, like okay, they look enough like him, he looks enough like Aang, that looks enough like Iroh, you know what I mean? And we see them do
Hmm.
little moves and stuff, but it's really not until you get into the action, you dig that, T-dubs? It's really not until you to the action of seeing it, of seeing these characters play off each other. One thing I really love is the chemistry between like the three main ones. Like Sokka, like for instance, like in the first episode, I was already sold. I was like, oh, okay, like he's not slapstick Sokka. But this Sokka does have wit to him, so he is funny in his own way, but he is still Sokka. You know what I mean? He's like,
Hmm.
and I really appreciate how the show like really like and this is getting off topic because we're talking about cast, but I but it's like kind of in the same breath. I really do appreciate how the show like really lets you understand characters' motivations so that when they
Mm.
take actions, like it feels so genuine because it's like, oh no, he would totally do that because this is the weight of what he's feeling and this is why he's doing that. You know what I mean? Like how the first episode, like I feel like a lot of things like try so hard to subvert your expectations that they don't really lay the groundwork first. Whereas like this is like, nah, like we'll take it at the pace of the story. You know what I mean? Like we'll let Sokka do the thing where he's like no, I don't trust, like this is a new addition to like our village and he's causing us danger and like they're coming here to take him, like I'm gonna let them take him because like I'm supposed to protect everybody here, you know what I mean? Like, and it's really not until Aang, like, you know what I mean, shows that he can be a friend too and he respects the fact that Sokka did that. It's not until then that Sokka's like, oh, okay, like, nah, I can't let a homie die, you know what I mean? Like, because like we had this kindred connection now, you know what I mean? And like the show, throughout at least of what I've seen, the 6 episodes, it like does a really good job of doing that. And it's really only conveyed by the actors, bringing it back to that point, doing such a good job and really staying on style. Anybody else take this baton?
Yeah, yeah, I'll agree. I'll grab that baton because you and I were doing all the trailer reacts to this, and what we kept talking about is just from what we saw, I was like, we need to see them. And I think both of us were like, yeah, Sokka's the one we don't know about. But then he turned out to be kind of the glue in this whole thing because you're right, he's a little different than the show, the animated series Sokka, but he is like kind of the core of it, it seems. And what you said is like true motivation away from subversion. What they really nailed here, which was would not this show would not work if they didn't nail this, was like Zuko and his motivation, especially in the latter half of the series, like especially with his stuff with his dad and oh man, Ozai. Oh man, Ozai. Those just that whole thing, man, through the moon on that. But that's passing it off.
I agree with most of the casting. I just okay, so I'm the only one who's got like something opposing to say. Katara's character.
Mm.
She's not the same Spitfire waterbender, oxymoron intended right there. Um, she doesn't have that same spunk, but you still see that same uh caring and I want to be a waterbender, like dedication. You still see that in her, you know?
Uh,
Yeah, I agree.
I was
Oh,
just gonna follow
yeah.
that,
Okay.
follow up what you just said with like so I get with the way that you feel, do you feel like that is a like taking away from the story as presented, or B, do you feel like that's something that they could add in a later season? I guess two-part question.
Uh oh, it didn't totally take away um from the story for me. I just felt like it was more her personality added a certain spice to their dynamic, you know, where she's kind of like the spunky little sister to Sokka, always giving him jabs
Yeah,
and
keeping him in check.
yeah, keeping him in check. But I think that kind of balances out with how they kind of changed Sokka's personality for this live adaptation, where he's not this arrogant, sexist like he was in the animated series.
Mhm.
So I think it kind of like balanced out in that sense.
Yeah, yeah. Well, actually, that's a strong observation too, because I agree on that. Of the core cast, Katara is the weakest, um, and it's not necessarily because of her acting ability. It is, I
Mhm.
think, sort
What
of
they did with the character.
right. Yeah. So with Aang and Sokka, I'm sorry, yeah, Aang and Zuko, what you had with those two were completely polar opposite opposing views. Like one super rigid, one very open, one very just happy, and one just angry. But the balance with the animated show was Sokka being arrogant and Katara being like, dude, your ego is just too much. And once you took that out of Sokka, now Katara doesn't have anything to bounce off of, and
Mhm.
that lack of conflict between those two is very noticeable.
Mhm.
It also, one thing I noticed too, like it feels very much so like I feel the age difference between the two of them
Mm.
in a way that I didn't in the cartoon. You know,
That is true. Yeah.
like the cartoon, like if you had told me they were twins, you know what I mean? Like I wouldn't have even, you know what I mean? Oh, okay, yeah, sure. Like here, whereas it's here, it's like no, he's very much like maybe even raising her, you know what I mean? Like, and she's very much like the younger sister, you know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
and so when she talks back to him, she's like talking back to her dad, kind of a thing.
Mm.
It's not as much. She is talking back to her brother, like they do have that relationship, but it is like this thing where like he's usually an authority figure
Yeah.
to her. Like I was thinking, like when they're on the boat, and she's like trying to pipe up to him, and he's just like, "No, just do this," you know what I mean? And she just kind of like, "All right, cool," like you know what I mean? Like that's something that's like a learned behavior kind of a thing. That's like something that she's
Nailed it.
gotten used to, kind of a thing. You know what I mean? Like so,
Yeah,
it's like okay, like he's like less older brother. He's almost like a father to
has to
her.
be too
You
because of dad not being there and the mom dying. Um,
Oh man.
yeah, well, that's an important thing too. It's just kind of helped tie it all together too. Is they did not hold back with death in this show.
No.
It's a
There's
war.
multiple times. I'm like, oh, we got roasted, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's it's got rough. That's awful. To go off of that, it almost seems like with this, I don't know if it was confirmed or not. Maybe it was like their demographic, they were aiming for an older demographic. I mean, especially since a lot of Avatar, Last Airbender fans are older now, um, which is cool. Like we appreciate that, but then we have uh I know for a fact, like one of my coworkers, she has a son, younger son, and he liked the anime series and he wanted to watch the live action adaptation, but with the morbid uh burnings, he can't watch it. It's a little bit much.
And it's, I think it's interesting because like the the burning, which is like such a horrible and horrifying way to die. Um, the way they do it on the show, it's so quick and it's like this light up
Yeah.
thing and like it's over, right? Like it's probably like the tamest way you could do something like that, but it feels kind of cartoony and not in a bad way. Like it feels
Hmm.
like Flame Death is like not, you know what I mean? Flame Death, like as opposed to like we saw Sai. Is that his name? Sai? The guy with the thingy and the two swords, two hook swords.
Oh, Jet.
Yeah.
Jet. You're right, right, right. Jet. We're with Jet, but he's not like lopping, what I mean, limbs off or anything, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Like, and it's not very bloody, though it can get that doesn't mean it can't get graphic, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, because the burnings and there's always the scream and the loud, you know what I mean? So it's like kind of it can get graphic. It just kind of what it does for me is just like kind of throw into context, like, oh, you know what, like like the actual series, like, was a little more adult than I give it credit for. Like, obviously it didn't have stuff like this in it, but this is just kind of enhancing what we were watching, you know what I mean?
That's true.
Yeah, but they
Um,
yeah, go ahead, sorry. You
oh
said
no, I was done. What
Oh
do you
no,
have
I
any?
was saying you mentioned Jet. They definitely leaned into this sort of um well you know we're trying to end the war, so by any means necessary with him. Like he literally was like, all right, time to assassinate this engineer guy and his kid just to get to King Boomy. And that was just an observation, one of the many changes
Hmm.
that were put in the show. Said many, yeah, I don't know about many. It wasn't as many as Cowboy Bebop or even One Piece, but I just like to throw this question out here. That was a big change. Another big change was King Boomy and making him, instead of this fun-loving, joking guy, actually super disgruntled,
Yeah.
cranky old guy. And so, throwing this question out there, were you guys a fan of those questions, or were you a fan of those changes, or do you think they went too far, or if any others I didn't think of?
I mean, going off the Boomy thing, I think, yeah, they went a little too far because it didn't feel like, I mean, it didn't feel like the relationship, you didn't feel the relationship with Aang and Boomy like you did in the anime series, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Like it, it felt disconnected for me.
Same.
And yeah, so I wasn't moved like I was when they reunited in this adaptation.
Yeah, yeah, I
Um,
agree. Go ahead,
I
CJ.
guess I don't want to say I feel opposite. Like I do, like it is a change, and I do feel like maybe if they had have spent a little more time letting their relationship breathe when they were younger, because they were like cutting back and forth, like if I'm not mistaken, like between
Hmm.
time. So they could have played with that more. But I didn't necessarily get the sense that they were trying to do something uh with reuniting them beyond like I felt more like I felt like more because in the anime it's like they're friends and he's just kind of trying to help him along his journey. In
Hmm.
this I got more of a sense where like Aang was kind of reawakening something in him. Like, yeah, there was still this thing where he was testing him, you know what I mean? Like, and part of that I feel like was mistrust, and part of that I feel like, well, okay, if you really are this dude, then you need to know this stuff and how I feel and all that too. But
Hmm.
there was a sense of like Aang's naivete, Aang still being a kid, Aang reminding him of who he used to be. And I felt
Yeah.
like that was kind of more of the point of that. Like this go around where like Aang is like kind of like he's testing Aang because he's being a prick. But like Aang is like, well, I'm still innocent, dude. I'm still this dude you remember, and like I'm here to help, kind of a thing. Like, and I feel like eventually that actually just breaks through to him,
Mm,
and he's like, oh, you know what? Like I am kind of being a jerk right now. Like freaking all right, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
what I mean, like the world is going to hell, and I mean, I'll do my part to help since you're willing and you're here now, and we got Avatar now, kind of a thing. Like, one of the changes I actually did like, and I can't remember if this because it's been a long time since I've seen Last Airbender now, but like Azula, there wasn't this much Azula in book one, right?
No,
no.
she wasn't introduced until like book two, right?
That's what I was thinking. Yeah,
Or
yeah, like
later.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, but
It's either the very end of book one, where they took over. Spoiler alert! Where they took over. Gosh, the name of the town with the O name. Um,
Oh,
Omashu.
no
oh, I
Mafu.
see.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I think your first appearance is, last episode
Hmm.
That's
of.
what I
And
was
we
thinking
got
because.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead,
Well,
CJ.
I was just gonna say that like freaking it's talking about changes in how we feel about him. Azula is like one of my favorite like villains ever. So like as far as like bringing her like bringing her in a way that like did not do disservice to the story was like that was just icing on the cake for me. Like I'm just like, dude, I love Azula's character.
Mhm.
Like and so far this actress playing her is like totally nailing everything about Azula that like I think should be like nailed. And I feel like it only serves the story to pepper in these bits now. You know what I
Mhm,
mean? Like
mhm.
just
Mhm.
knowing what comes later. Like it only serves the story more to like have her like operating in the background, already building like how her and Zuko's like kind of like what's the word rival like relationship
Rivalry.
is. Yeah, build their rivalry up, you know what I mean? And how she's like already jealous, like and like the motivations like of their dad, like I just love it. I love everything about that. That's
Mhm.
great.
Yeah, that's something I
Speaking
really.
of which,
Right.
we get introduced to Ozai so soon.
Yeah,
Also,
yeah. He's probably my favorite part. Ozai. He's so good. And the Daniel Day Kim, the actor, he
mhm.
Mhm.
being interviewed about his portrayal, and he was saying he really took notes from like Mark Hamill. Like he called Mark Hamill apparently, to see just the subtleties of the character and everything. Wow, yeah, I think that's really gonna. Oh, um, you see episode 7, by the way, CJ. Oh, you got stuff to look forward to. There's some good stuff coming your way, man.
Just
There's something I wanted to mention about the Boomy thing. This is if you guys haven't seen the original show, this is a major spoiler, but one big reveal at the end was all the uh, important people teaching Aang in their life came back at the end. They were the Order of the White Lotus, and Iroh was like the main guy of it. So I'm wondering if they're gonna do that still, and like how the heck are they gonna convince us Boomy wasn't always like this?
Yeah. It's interesting. You brought up the White Lotus, and I was wondering that the whole time I would see Aang and Iroh interact. I think they interacted more in this adaptation than they did in the animated series, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so I'm like, oh, you're seeing like elements of him caring for the Avatar as a result of Iroh being part of the White Lotus.
yeah. And I do think that's still going to be the case because the White Lotus's job is to protect the spirit realm, and Iroh went way further out of his way to protect the moon koi fish in
Mm-hmm.
the anime. And he even went as far as saving Zuko at the oh man, oh I could so gush over that
CJ.
last
I
episode.
it is fine. It is totally fine. I knew what I was signing up for when I
I'm mad at CJ for not seeing this, but I'll just say
It
my
kind of
favorite.
matters, doesn't it? Because of how they retold the story.
Yes, yes. The setup was so good with Ozai and Azula and Zuko, and to learn um, that missing piece. I'm not going to spoil it for audience and for CJ. That missing piece of what Zuko doesn't know is such a big, big thing. And at the end, when they're leaving, with all the shipwrecks and everything, and just kind of going through on the boats, and how Zuko is looking all Zuko-y. Um, there's so much more powerful now with that one piece added with all the build up throughout all of season 1. So I know this is a little out of order, but I was saying that that was my favorite moment and my I think thing that was best executed in all of this show so far.
um s- uh staying on the topic, Renee, what is one or some of your favorite things about this adaptation of the show?
Definitely how they executed bending, like how it looks
Mhm.
like that. such a vast improvement from the movie we will not talk about, where the Earthbenders are like, and then one boulder goes floating. Like it is just amazing. And then I remember like watching the first episode of this live action series. I was like getting overwhelmed and emotional. Like, oh my God, they're doing it. Like, this is good. This is really good. I teared up. It was my childhood all over again.
Yeah.
And so to see how well they did the action sequences, I liked the first episode, how they all came together. And then I liked Kyoshi Island. And I love that moment where Kyoshi just took over Aang's body and just whooped ass. Like, can I say ass? I mean,
Yeah, you can. You're allowed.
okay. Like that was so awesome. Like I was like, it was so cool. And they made her look like she was well over 6 feet tall, like she is canonically in the story. It was pretty cool.
It was really cool. CJ, what's your favorite moment?
Favorite. Well, just to touch on what Renee was talking about, I love those things too as well. Like the bending was like it was like quintessential that they got something correct, especially after what no better example than what you just said, like about the rock bending or earth bending. I and like a moment to that, like when Boomy like twinkles his toes and like the little like it slides across and like sinks him in like kind of like quicksand or whatever. Like just the way that worked, and like I was just like, yes, dude, like yes, like that is how it's supposed to look and feel,
Yes.
when they're doing that. And it just made me excited for like eventually seeing Toph own the boulder in next season.
Yeah.
But favorite things about like just kind of like what I was like gushing about earlier, like the style, like the commitment to style, and how I feel like the show, I mean, it's a cartoon, like, so like what this is based on, I mean, is a cartoon, like, so like I'm glad that they just like let things feel like that, like feel larger than life. So like when like a testament to the actors too, but like when Zuko like emotes like this, crazy, and they're so expressive. Like, first of all, like all these are like the cutest kids in the world, and like they're freaking like so expressive with their faces. But like when they're like emoting, like going through all these range of emotions and like telling you so much, like that the scene is demanding of them, and it's like this works, like this just works, even though it's a cartoon, it's such a cartoon, it's so on the nose, but this works because like everything is like working in unison to like present you with like this story, you know what I mean? And there's not one actor phoning it in, like nah, this is very over the top, so I'm just gonna be freaking this other guy about it. But like no, like everybody is like giving it 110%. Also can't be understated. Musical cues or sound design, good sound design, you know what I mean? Like, because I go back and forth how I feel about when they do an adaptation of something, like, should they use the OG, like, tracks or not? You know what I mean? Like, because, like, they're iconic for a reason, and, like, I love them and stuff. And if they're gonna use it, then like, yeah, commit to it. But like, there's also like the argument for like what One Piece did, right? They're using their own theme, you know what I mean? Because this is belongs to this adaptation, So there are. It makes me feel ways inside to hear the OG score. I'll just to cut a long story short, you know what I mean? It makes me feel ways inside when I hear it, and I'm like, oh yes, yes, give it to me. You know what I mean? Like, but just those are some of the things that I really love about it. Just I would say like nothing specific, but just like the commitment to the style, you know what I mean? The commitment to like making this as authentically Avatar: The Last Airbender as they can.
Right.
Yeah, CJ, you said the T word. She's my favorite character
Oh,
in all of Avatar: The Last Airbender. I cannot wait.
I was like T word. Oh.
I know. I was like, yeah, no, she's definitely my favorite on the Avatar team. I love everything that Toph does, and like freaking and wait, future way spoilers. I was like so super like ecstatic when they brought her back for Korra, and like she just comes in and like whoops Korra's ass real quick and then like leaves. Renee told me I could say ass. You guys just did it, okay? So.
Yeah, you can. Yeah. SEC, you could say ass, but not ass with the H word right after it. So
Really?
yeah, because ass is a donkey, but you know,
Oh.
your butthole is something you can't say.
Sorry.
So that actually that's what I'm most excited for the future of the show is seeing
Mhm.
Toph and their raid on Ba Sing Se, season 2. But this spoilers for everyone else. Oh, not spoilers. Breaking news for everyone who doesn't know yet. It's already been confirmed for season 2 and 3. And that's awesome. Yes, please give me more.
Yes.
So what are you guys most excited for the future? I know, sorry, CJ, I'm taking your job, but it's just conversation.
We're a partnership here at FTC. We equal opportunity hosts around. Hey, there's I yeah, what I'm excited to see most that shot where because it looked like Azula is like learning how to do the blue thing, like she's practicing and whatever doing
Oh, yeah.
you know what I mean? Yeah, and like it looked like she was learning how to do like the lightning thing. Maybe I misread that. Maybe she already does know how to do that or whatever. Like, but um freaking what am I excited for? Seeing her blast Aang through the chest with that, right? That's what I'm most excited for. Also anything with Toph, like anything
Oh,
with her.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter. Like anything. Just her eating at a restaurant, I guess. You know, that'd be cool. Um
I want to see her do her boxing matches. Was it like her
With a
arena match?
boulder.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I wonder who they would cast for the boulder.
I
What if it's the actual rock?
It
Oh my
would that
god.
would I would just die at that moment if it was the actual Rock. I would just die. I hope they get an actual wrestler, to be honest, uh, but
The
that
irony.
right. But that would be awesome though if it was.
And I can't wait to
I
see Toph discover metal bending. Like, I want to see how they do that in live action.
I would love that too. But anything else, like just whatever, just finish the story.
Yeah. I mean, it only gets better from there, like, honestly. And then for me, it would be funny to see the Fire Island actors parody.
Oh, the
So,
play.
yeah, I wonder if they would go there and parody their own show.
I hope they do.
That would be awesome. I'm glad that some of the lighter elements did like stay in like that because
Mhm.
what you just said reminds me of Cabbage Guy and as much of
Oh
Cabbage.
yeah, the cabbages! I died.
It's the actual voice who's doing it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's the actual guy who voices it who's doing it. So that's why you made it a big thing in the show. Hopefully we'll see more of them, like just like the show.
He's like the running gag of that show, an icon.
All right, so let's see. We talked about things we liked. We talked about any like things you guys didn't like about it, just like rub you the wrong way about this. Yes.
The Cave of Love,
Oh, Secret Tunnel!
Secret Tunnel. Okay, first,
Secret Tunnel!
Secret Tunnel.
Secret tunnel, secret tunnel, through the mountains. Secret tunnel.
I freaking love that they
I love it too! And I
Yeah.
hate what. Well, I don't hate it. It's such a strong word, but they really condensed it.
Yeah.
Interesting take with how they made it about Sokka and Katara's relationship as opposed to Aang and Katara. I guess I don't hate it, but how they kind of avoided the Aang Katara dynamic this go around is an interesting choice.
Yeah,
So I wonder if they're going to visit that later on as the show progresses.
yeah. I really hope we don't see any incest. And
Oh, God. But what they did with it, it's kind of like that was supposed to be the fun episode, like the fun filler episode. And they really just condensed it and
made it sad.
yeah.
It's
But let's go with that. Yeah.
Yeah,
I couldn't think of another word.
yeah, everything she just said, I'm with Ron. That's my only big gripe is that episode, and then everything else is great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would agree. The only thing is just because, like, I don't know. It's just like, what is the point of, like, were they really that? Did they need to come back together in some way? Like, were they really that like estranged from each other? I guess.
Yeah,
Like,
that was what was weird about that.
Didn't feel like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, it goes with the whole like Katara lacking that spunk about her. And yeah, the conflict that they had with him being arrogant and her being the spunky little sister, keeping him in his place. I think it would have worked better if that element was there, maybe. There was another thing that threw me was being introduced to the owl so early on.
Yeah,
From
I don't think
the-
we're gonna see the library later. That's why.
really?
That's kind of like quintessential, I felt like, because they needed that information, right?
Yeah,
How are they
when
going to
the
find
comet
it?
comes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is interesting. I guess it depends on how they condense book two, because there's so much going on in book two. Like,
Oh, yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, we lose Appa and them for a bit. Like, it's like, are we even gonna touch on that? Like, you know what I mean? We do the
Are
whole
we going to?
they had better do the freaking everybody's sleepy episode. They better do that freaking episode. I don't care.
Dude, when Sokka's like high on cactus juice.
Yes, please.
And I want to see unhinged Aang when he loses Appa.
Hmm.
But that
Yeah.
was from when they were sleepy, right? He was just like unhinged because he was so
Grumpy.
like grumpy and
No, because they were being chased by the bounty hunter who was
oh
following
right.
Appa's,
Okay.
fur or whatever.
The fur. Okay. That was different.
But like there are, like, as you're saying, that there are similar moments because of both situations, though. Like, he gets unhinged, like when they lose Appa, and then he kind of pops off on a couple of the team members, I think.
Mhm.
But yeah, all right. So any other thoughts, I guess, to get out about?
Watch it. That's my thought. If you
Yeah,
haven't seen it, watch it and finish it for present company.
Yeah. I wonder who you might be talking about, Tyler.
So weird. Maybe he's talking to you, Josie.
He's on the couch with you watching the episode.
Anyways, I like what I saw. I think we're all pretty high on this. Netflix, another adaptation, pretty that you kind of knocked.
That's 2 in a row now, right?
Yeah. So yeah. You've heard what we said. You heard what they said. Watch the crap. You know what I mean? But and until the next nerdy cool thing comes out, see you later.
Crack on.
Secret tunnel through the mountains. Secret tunnel.
Yeah. They're doomed.